Stablecoins have surged past 231 billion, transferring an incredible 2.1 trillion every month. With over 25 million active addresses and nearly 162 million holders, their momentum is unstoppable. And here's the wild part. This is just the beginning. These numbers aren't slowing down. They're set to explode. In fact, don't be surprised when they 10x in the coming years. Why? Because stablecoins are gaining steam, backed by some of the biggest players out there. Even the Federal Reserve is in the mix. So what's the Fed's game plan? We know they're eyeing stablecoins, but could they be gearing up to leverage RLUSD or even Ripple with XRP? Let's break it down. Over the past few weeks, major moves have been happening in the stablecoin world, and it's time to dive deep into what's next for this rapidly growing space. Sam Broner from A16Z recently called the past month one of the most pivotal in payment history, and it's hard to disagree. Why? This was the month fintechs fully embraced stablecoins, and legacy payment giants began building the foundation for an on-chain economy. So what happened? Let's dive into the key announcements and their impact on the industry. May 7-8, Stripe shakes things up with stablecoin financial accounts, launching USDB, programmable stablecoins, and a stablecoin-linked ramp card. Big moves for the future of payments. May 7, MoneyGram steps in with MoneyGram ramps, enabling cash-based stablecoin on/off ramps in over 170 countries. Global accessibility, anyone? May 6, Coinbase introduces the X402 standard, paving the way for seamless internet new stablecoin payments. May 6, again, Visa reveals a strategic partnership to build out stablecoin infrastructure in collaboration with a banking partner. The shift is undeniable. Stablecoins are no longer just the future. They're becoming the present. April 28th and 30th, MasterCard and Visa shake things up with stablecoin-linked card products, making crypto as easy to use as your daily coffee swipe. Why? Stablecoins are taking over. Plain and simple. April 23rd, PayPal steps up, offering a 3.7% yield on PYUSD balances in PayPal and Venmo. Yes, even your digital wallet is getting in on the action. April 21st, Circle launches its groundbreaking Circle Payments Network with major global banks. April 1st, Circle announces its plans to go public on the New York Stock Exchange. Stablecoins aren't just here to stay, they're shifting into overdrive. Every week, there's another headline proving they're rewriting the rules of finance. The wildest part? The US doesn't even have stablecoin legislation yet. It's still in the works. Once that legislation drops, the real game begins. Think 231 billion sounds huge. Sure, it's impressive, but that's just the warm-up. With stablecoin laws in place, that number won't just grow, it'll explode, skyrocketing to a jaw-dropping 2.3 trillion. We're on the verge of a massive shift, and here's why. Stablecoins aren't just gaining support, they're poised to be fully integrated into the US financial system. Think about it. When legislation catches up, we could see a 10x boom in no time. Back in April, Fed Chair Jerome Powell openly backed stablecoin legislation, even hinting that digital assets are headed for mainstream adoption. This isn't just good news for stablecoins, it's a huge win for the US economy. The Fed's involvement could be a game changer, and I've got a video clip that highlights Powell's key points. But let's take a moment to ask, what exactly does the Fed have planned for stablecoins? I'll dive deeper into that in a bit, but for now, let's listen closely to Powell's words. Check this out.
How do you see the potential for more favorable regulations coming on them and potential risks from that for the system?
You know, so we went through a wave of failures and fraud and things like that were the headlines for a couple of years, and I think what you see now is, and during that period, by the way, we worked with Congress to try to get a framework, a legal framework for stable coins, which would have been a nice place to start. We were not successful. I think that the climate is changing, and you're moving into sort of more mainstreaming of that whole sector. So Congress is again looking at both the Senate and the House are looking at a framework, a legal framework for stable coins. You know, depending on what's in it, that's a good idea. We need that. There isn't one now. And stable coins are a digital product that could actually have fairly wide appeal and should contain consumer protections of the typical sorts and transparency. And that's what the Senate and the House are working on. So that's a positive thing. I also think some of the, you know, we took a pretty conservative, and other bank regulators took an even more conservative perspective on the guidance and rules we imposed on banks. I think there'll be some loosening of that, and I think we'll try to do it in a way that preserves safety and soundness, but that permits and fosters appropriate innovation, but that does so in a way that, again, doesn't put consumers at risk in ways they don't understand or make banks less safe and sound.
Here's the wild part. The person he's talking to, none other than Raghuram Rajan, a major player serving as an advisor on Ripple USD's advisory board. If the name sounds familiar, it should. Rajan is the former governor of the Reserve Bank of India and a renowned economist at the IMF. But that's not all. He's been a heavyweight in global finance for over a decade, even holding key roles at the Bank for International Settlements, a true giant in the financial world, now lending his expertise to RLUSD's advisory board. Let's talk about some major players connected to all of this. For starters, Sheila Bair, former FDIC chair and founding chair of the Systemic Risk Council, is one of the biggest names in the game. Then there's a former first vice president and COO of the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, adding even more weight to the mix. The connections tied to RLUSD are truly mind-blowing. And Ripple, their ties to the Fed have been years in the making. Take Michael Barr, for instance. He was an advisor at Ripple, and in 2022, it was announced that he would be overseeing the Federal Reserve. But that's not all. Check out the Federal Reserve's Fed Payments Improvement site, where they rolled out the U.S. Faster Payments Council. The U.S. Faster Payments Council was announced with a clear mission: revolutionize the efficiency of payments. Their goal is straightforward: faster, smoother transactions and a fully modernized financial system. To achieve this, they're leveraging cutting-edge technologies like digital assets, digital currencies, DLT, and blockchain, which are transforming payment infrastructure at its core. Here's where it gets exciting. Ripple is playing a key role in this evolution. Back in 2023, Ripple partnered with the Faster Payments Council to conduct a global survey uncovering critical insights into blockchain adoption for payments. This collaboration highlights how innovation is reshaping the way money moves, setting the stage for a faster, smarter financial future. Blockchain and payments aren't just buzzwords, they're driving real change. According to our survey, 77% of leaders believe blockchain delivers real value to customers, with benefits like increased transparency and cost savings gaining momentum. The possibilities are vast, from domestic B2B payments to transformative cross-vendor transactions, but interest varies across industries. Leaders are diving into these opportunities, exploring which use cases are making waves. Yet challenges remain. Concerns over regulatory clarity, market adoption, and price volatility still loom large. The good news: legislative progress and growing acceptance signal that blockchain is entering a more mature phase. As the technology evolves, efficiency and sustainability are taking center stage, with energy consumption and environmental impacts becoming key priorities. Our survey reveals a growing emphasis on environmental impact and the adoption of energy-efficient blockchain protocols. Now, we know the Faster Payments Council is a major player, but let's dive into this joint report by Ripple and the U.S. Faster Payments Council. It's packed with fascinating insights. According to the World Economic Forum, G20 leaders are now prioritizing blockchain as the solution to outdated financial systems. Their focus: enhancing stablecoin and digital asset use to build interconnected, efficient, and accessible financial systems. The buzz around stablecoins isn't random. It's been in the works for years, driven by these global organizations. Ripple, of course, has been in the thick of it from the beginning. And it doesn't stop there. Stripe is also entering the scene, integrating cryptocurrency payment rails with USDC stablecoin. Stablecoins are making waves, and it's no surprise why. Their growing adoption in payments isn't just hype, it's about real cost savings. Sending money across borders using stablecoins can slash costs by up to 80% compared to traditional remittance services. Imagine this: for a $500 0 cents transfer, the total cost of on-chain FX conversion and the on/off ramp could be as low as $4.80, far below the average $20 0 cents fee charged by conventional operators. But that's not all. Regulatory clarity is emerging as the key to unlocking mass adoption, and the outlook is promising. In the US, President Biden introduced the first ever crypto regulation framework, outlining how financial institutions can innovate for smoother cross-border payments. The framework also highlights the potential of digital currencies like CBDCs and stablecoins to create a more efficient, sustainable payment system. Back in 2023, Ripple was already ahead of the curve, setting the stage for what we're seeing now: a surge in stablecoin legislation taking shape just 2 years later. They saw the future before others even realized it was coming. Now let's shift gears and take a look at the Faster Payments Council, FPC. Their vision, a cutting-edge payment system where Americans can securely send funds to anyone, anywhere, at any time with near-instant availability. It's like the dream team of payments innovation. The FPC thrives on collaboration, bringing together a wide range of voices from across the U.S. payment system, from banks and credit unions to giants like MasterCard, American Express, NASDAQ, and Ripple. They're all united by a mission to break down barriers to faster payments, guided by principles like fairness, inclusivity, and transparency. The FPC is tackling the challenges holding back widespread adoption. And yes, Ripple and its partners are right there in the mix, driving the future. It's fascinating because these are exactly the kinds of organizations I focus on. When we look at the working groups connected to this, it's clear that this organization operates on a completely different level compared to groups like the Digital Pound Foundation or the Digital Euro Association. Why? Because this group isn't just backed by major banks, it's also tied to clearinghouses and some of the biggest names in cross-border payments. This isn't just another organization. No, this is a powerhouse, aiming not just to modernize, but to completely transform the US payment system. And it's backed by some serious players. One of those players, Ripple. The conversations happening here are centered around stablecoins, and it's all happening as the Fed, yes, the same Fed behind the US Faster Payments Council, expresses support for stablecoin initiatives. Pair that with their connections to one of Ripple USD's advisors, and it's not a stretch to imagine ripple effects. Ripple, with RLUSD and XRP operating as the DLT rail behind the scenes, seems poised to play a significant role in what's shaping up to be a revolution in payments. When you think about how bullish this is for XRP, consider the demand. I asked Grok on X and explored why RLUSD could skyrocket XRP's value. The key lies in driving demand and utility on the XRP ledger. With RLUSD's adoption growing, XRP ledger usage and demand are surging. It's fueling cross-vendor payments, DeFi applications, and tokenized asset settlements. As more XRP is burned and utilized, its scarcity increases, driving up its value. Higher RLUSD usage supercharges ledger activity, attracts more participants, and boosts network liquidity, all of which strengthen XRP's price. Imagine XRP acting as a bridge currency, not just for RLUSD, but for transactions involving yen, pounds, Brazilian reals, and beyond. It's like the universal translator for global finance. And then there's RLUSD itself, a game changer built specifically for institutions. Fully compliant and regulated by the New York Department of Financial Services, it sets a gold standard in this space. These features catapult RLUSD ahead of the competition, making it invaluable for institutional players. Why? Because institutions want something they can rely on, something fully compliant, fully regulated, and built for trust. RLUSD isn't just another option, it's the go-to choice for serious players in the financial world. This is all great news for XRP, but let's ask the real question. Will the Fed embrace RLUSD? Honestly, I'm less concerned about the Fed and more focused on what the Treasury is up to. Brad Garlinghouse recently quoted Scott Bessent, highlighting how stablecoins are booming globally with real-world applications. He made a key point. The faster the US establishes clear, workable regulations, the quicker it can harness the power of this technology. And let's be clear, it's not just about RLUSD. The real game changer will be when the Genius Act is fully pushed through. That's when we'll see stablecoins like RLUSD skyrocket, not just in usage or demand, but in the sheer growth driven by transactional volume. This would have a massive impact on their underlying networks, whether it's XRPL or even Ethereum. But this would trigger a massive spike in the underlying asset, XRP. That's why strong legislation is absolutely vital. On another note, the US is likely to embrace stablecoins like RLUSD, weaving them into the system because of the immense benefits they bring to the dollar stability. Here's where it gets interesting. Stablecoin issuers like Ripple could become major holders of US treasuries. This would effectively eliminate fears of countries like China or Japan offloading their treasuries and leaving the US scrambling to find new buyers for its debt. Stablecoins, especially their issuers, are on track to achieve massive success. Take Ripple, for example, along with XRP and the XRPL. These networks and the tokens that power them are primed to experience a surge in demand and volume as adoption grows. If you found this insight valuable, don't forget to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications for even more free content coming your way. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, stay curious. Peace out.